Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you're new here. I'm Christine and it's Saturday morning. I've got my coffee here and I've got two things of Rit Dye and a vintage tablecloth with quite a few coffee stains on it. So I am going to be diving into a project that I've wanted to do for quite some time. This is kind of a first. I have no idea how this is going to turn out, so I guess I'm anticipating the project, we'll say that. This tablecloth, which like I said, has quite a few coffee stains, and there's so many that this tablecloth is going to be kind of hard to work around on its just as it is. It may be for a small blouse or something like that, but the other thing is it's kind of this off-white color, which isn't terrible, but I would love to have a nice pop of color, and just kind of curious to see how the embroidery will dye with the fabric. So it's kind of a big experiment. So what I'm going to be making is my new blouse pattern called the Lafayette. And I love this blouse. I made one out of a little square tablecloth, and I used the embroidery on the outer part of the sleeve, and I absolutely love it. It's just such a good everyday blouse. And so I wouldn't mind having one in another one that has kind of the upcycled vintage feel in my closet. So when I was in the Pacific Northwest, I picked up a couple colors of Rit Dye. These were from Holly Lobby, and they were $2.99 a bottle. And both of the kinds I got are the all-purpose dye that are for cotton, wool, nylon, and more. So I think there's two types. There's one for natural fibers and one for synthetics. I got the natural fibers, and I got this really cool eggplant color. And then of course, I love this pink. I think today I'm gonna be going with the purple. It's technically spring, but it's still kind of a little chilly out there. So I thought if I did a nice deep purple, that would be cute to wear with jeans. So I'm gonna give the purple a try. I am a little bit concerned because the instructions say that it doesn't, if you have polyester, that you should use the synthetic one. And I know the fabric part of this tablecloth is cotton, but I'm a little worried that the thread used may have been a polyester. So I have no idea how this is going to take the dye. It's all going to be an experiment. So what I'm going to do is first do the dye of the tablecloth. I thought about first making the blouse and then dyeing it, but I was like, well, what if it doesn't turn out? So I decided to dye the tablecloth first, and then I'm going to do a sew along of the sleeves, which are really the trickiest part of this blouse. So if you're making the blouse, you can follow along with the sleeve sew along after I get this thing dyed. So this tablecloth is rather large, and so I thought in order to kind of save the dye and not be dyeing this huge piece of fabric, I'm going to go around and just take my pattern pieces, and I'm going to cut kind of a rough outline, just cut the fabric around a little bit bigger than my pattern pieces, and then just dye those pieces. So I think that's going to give me a little bit of an easier dyeing experiment. So I'm going to work on just kind of getting my blocks cut, and then I'll meet you in my kitchen and we're going to cook up some dye. Okay, so I've got my pieces cut. I did save quite a bit of fabric that we're going to put in by cutting these out a little bit closer to the cutting line. You might be thinking, why don't you just cut out your actual pattern pieces? And I didn't want to do that because after we dye this, then I have to put it in the washing machine and wash it. And so I thought through all of this process, it might distort the fabric. It might maybe shrink a little or fray. So that's why I didn't want to actually cut out the pattern on the cutting lines. So it says that I need to have my fabric wet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start filling my pan, and I think that I'm just going to wet my pieces right in the pan and then pull them out. So this actually might save us a little bit of space as well. Once these are wet, they might kind of shrink down a little bit. So now that these are all wet, I think what I'm going to do is just kind of wring them to dry, because first I need to fill this pot with water and the dye and heat it up and then drop my pieces in. So I'm just going to kind of shake out the water. You can see I've got all of my orchids are blooming right now. They are just every morning I'm like, oh, I love looking at them. They're just in full bloom. So I'm going to fill this. I think I need to fill this pretty full with water, right? Because those pieces, yeah. So I'm going to fill this pretty full and then get it boiling on the stove. This is such an experiment. I have no idea how it's going to turn out, and I really don't feel like I know what I'm doing, but we're just going to give it a try. So this says I need to use 4 ounces, which is half of the bottle, for every 3 gallons. And I think what I've probably got here is about a gallon. And so I think I'm just going to try to use half a bottle. It says if you want a deeper, darker, more intense color, double the quantity. So I'm kind of thinking that it can handle half a bottle and maybe more. I'm not sure. I think what I'm going to do is just get this boiling first. And I'm going to add a teaspoon of liquid dish detergent, a cup of salt, the color, get it mixed, and then submerge my pieces. Okay. Okay, water's boiling. It's a little intense in here because I feel some pressure with the boiling. So I'm going to add my tablespoon of dish soap. This is just like our normal kind of green dish soap, kind of non-brand. So my water is boiling pretty good. And I'm also being aware, I don't want to stain my countertops. So I think I should probably have prepared a little bit better for some cloths here. Then I'm going to add in my cup of salt. I don't know why. Ooh, yeah, this definitely, the salt is like kind of makes it bubble a little bit. Okay, I'm going to, what should I stir this with? Let's use a nice spatula. Oh yeah, I can feel that salt. I think I'm just kind of going to eyeball my dye. So let's just kind of start pouring it in. So it's looking really nice and dark. The salt, I can still feel that there's a bit of salt at the bottom. But actually now I don't feel any. It was like a sea salt that I used. So this is looking really like a nice grape color. So I think I might be ready to add my pieces in. Okay, I'm gonna grab these. I'll bring them, oopsie, I just dropped a facing or something. Let's start, maybe I will start with a smaller piece and just kind of see, I think, are there 2 layers here? It said you have to put your fabric in unfolded. Okay, this is 1 piece. Okay, so I'm gonna test this. Oh my gosh, look at that color. Oh, this is gonna be fun. Okay, I feel pretty good about this now. I'm just gonna keep dropping in all of my pieces one by one. I should have separated these. I think most of them are double layered. Let's see, there we go. Okay, and I'm just gonna start dropping them in. Beautiful color. I think this is gonna be really fun. So far so good. I think that I'm a little worried about the unevenness of the color. And I do think I'm gonna turn this down just a bit It's really hot. So I think I'm gonna have this on about a 5 now because it's boiling a lot and kind of splashing. I am a little bit worried about the unevenness of the color because some of the later pieces that I popped in are kind of sitting on top. They're not fully submerged. So I am going to, it does say on the instructions that you need to stir it for 30 minutes. I do feel like some of the under pieces are a lot darker. So I'm going to try to flip this around and just kind of babysit this for the next half an hour and see how it goes. It says you can leave them in for up to an hour if you want a darker color. And it does also say that the pieces will lighten up a bit after you take them out. So I want to make sure I get this really beautiful, rich purple color. See, I mean, it's so pretty. It's really like grape. So it's been about a half an hour now, and we have really gorgeous color. Look at that. Really, it's just nice and dark and grapey. You can see a lot of the water has kind of boiled down. And although I love the color, I kind of think that I might like it to be just a little bit bolder. So what I'm planning to do is I'm gonna boil up some water in my kettle. So I'll pour, a couple cups more of hot boiling water in. And then because I have more of the dye, I'm just gonna add a little bit more dye in and see if I can get it just a little bit darker, only because they say that once you wash it, it will lose some of the color and not be as vibrant as it is here. So I wanna make sure that it's dark, 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 more dark than grape. So that's my plan. Okay, I think I've got it to where I want it. I don't think it's gonna get any darker. So rubber glove time. The instructions say that I need to rinse this with cool water. So I'm gonna try my best not to make a huge mess. And I'm thinking what I'll do, I'll transfer everything to the sink, rinse it, kind of wring it out, and then put it back in the pan, and then take the pan to the laundry room to put these into the washer. So look at this gorgeous color. It really darkened up so nice. There's a lot of dye coming out. I'm a little bit afraid. See, it says the water should start to run clear. So, okay. Well, it looks like it's still holding quite a bit of the color. So I think I'm okay with it. I think I'm gonna just slowly start washing all my pieces. Yeah, wow. Okay. So I think what I'll do is just transfer all my pieces over and kind of wash them all as a bath. Okay, we have made it washed and dried on the clothesline. I have my pieces and it's okay. It's not terrible. There are a few that have a little bit of a tie-dye effect, which I was not going for. And I probably, it's okay. My front, so you can see it has just a little bit of a tie-dye effect. And I think why this happened is I think that I didn't have enough space in my pan. I think probably it needed more room to kind of freely move around. So I think that's why I got that effect. And so, lesson learned, I'm totally fine with it. I was thinking I could re-dye these, but honestly, I don't really have the time or the inclination to do all of that again. And I don't mind it. So I have already pressed a couple pieces. The color kind of sinks in when I've been pressing them. So I'm going to press all of my pieces and then I will get to sewing. One thing I do want to note is the embroidery took the color really beautifully. So I do love that about the pieces. I think it almost kind of highlights the beautiful embroidery because of the color variations, just that, that bit. So I am pretty happy. I think the only thing I would do differently next time is just a bigger pot, or maybe do them in 2 cycles. So I'm gonna get to ironing, and then I'll get this cut out, and then I will probably sew up the basics of the blouse, and then I'll meet you at the tricky part of the sleeve. So we'll do that part together.